What's up, guys? It's your boy Econ Rasul, and today we're here with factors affecting the price elasticity of supply, or determinants of price elasticity of supply. Students tend to be very good at understanding the concept of determinants affecting or determinants of price elasticity of demand. However, when it comes to this side, the understanding is a bit worse. Um, you can expect the next few videos just to be about concepts basically, and you can expect multiple uploads a day. So the first determinant, you're looking at this hand with some spare change in it. Yes, you're right. If you guessed the determinant right, yes, it is spare capacity. So a firm with spare capacity, a firm that has space to, an opportunity comes and for them to increase their supply, right? You need some spare capacity to do that. If you're operating at 70%, you can give 10-15% of your ability to take advantage of that and increase your supply. So if you do have spare capacity, your supply tends to be elastic. Yeah. However, some firms, their model is operating at 100%, right? Full capacity, going full throttle. And this means that if an opportunity does arise for them to increase supply, they're not able to. Yeah. And that tends to make their supply inelastic. So we can see how this is a strong determinant, right? Spare capacity. The second determinant of price elasticity of supply, right? And you're looking at this picture, yeah? And you can kind of relate. My hair tends to be a bit over the place. My beard tends to be all over the place, when you're waking up, bed hair. Those who can't relate, well, lucky you guys, be grateful, yeah? So this picture is trying to bring about the example of state of the economy. So this is a big determinant of price elasticity of supply. So again, the state of the economy. Is the economy in a boom state? Is it in a recession state, right? Linking very closely to the determinant of spare capacity, we know that in a recession, right, firms, for example, COVID, right, we had COVID. That was one of the most recent recessions, or the UK had entered, right? And in a recession, not much is going on. Not many people are buying from you, from businesses as a whole, right? It's quite a slow period, right? Where there's no spending, no investing. And you can imagine firms have a lot of spare capacity in a recession, yeah, due to that. So if the need acquires, which it did, right, after COVID, after all the lockdown restrictions were lifted, you could see inflation, it reached up to 11%, right, in the UK. So you can see how that spare capacity allowed firms, to grow or to increase output at a crazy rate, yeah. Um, so definitely recession allows that. Yeah, so the state of the economy is a big determinant. And of course, in a boom, similar to spare capacity when you're working at 100%, if the economy is there and there's so much spending and investment, you're likely to be operating at 100%, right? So again, not much spare capacity, and then therefore, supply tends to be inelastic. And in a recession, supply, due to what we just discussed, supply tends to be elastic. So second one there. Now the third one, yeah, now you've seen this image. Now, if you know what this is, big up you, you're a real one. Again, back in the old days, maybe in my generation, I'm an unk, yeah, so fellow unks watching. This used to be how you used to check, in Argos, if something was available, yeah? You put in the code or whatever, and you could see if it was there or not. Now you've got the tablets and stuff like that, so yeah, game's changed, yeah. But this is kind of linking again to the other two before. This is kind of the level of stock of finished goods, right? So how many finished goods? What is the level of stock? Is there 5? Is there 10? Is there 15? Is there 20? And this is a big determinant of price elasticity of supply, right? For example, car manufacturers, right? They tend to have very elastic supply because they tend to have a lot of finished goods in stock, right? So a lot of cars, made, ready, just in case for a scenario where supply increases. They tend to have that, right? And they're able to do that because all cars are the same, right? They all have the same parts, all look the same. They don't have to be custom made for every individual. So the car manufacturers or the car industry is able to have spare capacity of finished goods, right? The level of stock of finished goods are quite high relative to other industries due to that. Now, if we compare it to another industry such as wedding dresses, right? Now, in the wedding dressing industry, of course, you have to tailor make the fit. For every individual's measurements are different. So you can imagine the level of stock of finished goods that a wedding dress company has or wedding dress business has is a lot less, and therefore you can say that their supply tends to be inelastic. Cool. Now we're at the fourth determinant, and now you're seeing this banana, and you can relate. You've had that moldy banana. Yeah, it's been left out. You've peeled it. You've taken a bit out that's been a bit rotten. I hope you guys have never reached this icy stage. I've never seen that, honestly. Yeah. Um, I mean, I reached the stage where the mold is there, and it's still good inside. It's still good. Don't like to waste food. But again, this links to the fourth determinant, which is perishability of the good. Yeah. So again, linking very closely to the one determinant just before, which was level of stock of finished goods. So if we're looking at the car industry, right, the reason why they're able to have so much stock is because cars, they're not very perishable, right? They don't have that quality, right? They're able to, sustain, have a long life, and if we compare it to agricultural products such as bananas, for example, their perishability is very quick. A couple of days, maximum a week for agricultural products. So you can imagine how cars or automobile companies are able to have a lot of stock, have a lot of stock, waiting for the demand to increase. Whereas agricultural products, some are like cotton and stuff like this, which might have low perishability, but for example, bananas and vegetation, they have very high perishability, and therefore, they're not able to keep high levels of stock for a long time. So you can imagine how this affects, price elasticity of supply depending on the industry. So in this case, a banana farmer or banana company has very high price elasticity of supply, or elastic price elasticity of supply, and an automobile company or automobile car company has inelastic price elasticity of supply. So yeah. Fifth, so you're looking at this image. This is the border between Israel and Palestine, and this image is kind of going and hinting towards a determinant of barriers to entry or ease of entry into an industry, right? So this is a big determinant to price elasticity of supply, right? If you have high barriers to entry, right, in an industry where you need to have high, you need to spend a lot on advertising and branding and the product, and there's already high level products in this industry, it's very difficult, to enter the industry and to increase supply, right? For your good, because the existing products are already blocking your pathway, and all the barriers to entry, whether that be financial or strategical, it's a big barrier, and that's restricting you from increasing supply for your given good. Yeah, so that makes it inelastic. And we can see for the opposing side, for an industry which has low barriers to entry, where startup costs aren't as much and there's not many competitors, this allows the individual, the company, to increase supply at a high rate if they wish to, making the supply price elastic. And the final determinant, like you guys must have seen this, was mad. Like, big up to you guys, have the patience, have your chairs, you wait it out, get the watch. I was on Oxford Street today and I saw another, like, I've been seeing it my whole life and I've never tried it. So if you have been through this experience, do let me know in the comments, is it worthwhile? I don't know much, honestly, educate me in the comments. But this links to the final determinant of price elasticity of supply, and its time period, right? So short run and long run. In the short run, at least one factor input tends to be fixed, right? At least one factor input, one factor of production tends to be fixed, right? And this makes it very difficult, for firms to increase supply in the short run, right? Whereas we know in the long run, all factor inputs are variable, allowing firms, or individuals to increase, supply if they wish to, because all of them are variable, all the factors of production, right? Land, labor, capital, enterprise, they're able to do that. So time period is the last one. Appreciate you watching. Apologies for making this 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Peace.